Hello, hello, hello. I just realized it has been a while since I've last created a video, so I thought it would be a great time to talk about distortions. Distortions in your energy field and what actually constitutes as your individualized essence. And individualized essence as in its whole big, like more deeper meaning and deeper version than just like who you are as a person. I'm talking about your soul expression, your individualized consciousness expression, and how that is linked to your energy field, and how your field is both the way that you experience life, how you experience your perspectives, and how you experience you, and from which state of consciousness you operate from, based on what is open in your field through refinement, and how it's just not how you live, but it's more like basically, yeah, how do you express yourself? And I want to talk about those distortions in those fields, because as I said, the energy field is both how you express life and how you experience life, your internal whole what's the word? Your internal orientation, your internal perspective, your internal state of consciousness, and also how you project or not project your soul-based qualities, aka your true individualized pure stream of consciousness outwardly. And distortions is where you don't project out the true essence of you, because distortions are kind of like what are holding you back from not expressing those. Right? So fun topic. So if you're new to me, I do energy work, and one part of me doing my energy work is looking at your field. I look at the patterns, I look the shapes and the whole motions, how everything is circulating, and not just on those, not only on your like physical body, but the non-physical aspects, and how your field. I look at the individualized, how your field looks like, because you can tell a lot about what kind of qualities and values you as a individualized soul express innately. And what you express innately, what's your the authentic core frequency of you, is something that is both wanting to be expressed in this life. Personally, I see one of the main goals, so to speak, in this life is to express that frequency of you and live your life from that state, because it has like a double effect. It's both like you feel at home because it's you, because you live in the frequency of you, and you also live the life that you're in a way supposed to live. Because when you live from that state, and from that state of consciousness, because it's a bit different than the everyday human consciousness in that sense, or the narrow ego consciousness. It's more expansive. You create experiences also from that state of consciousness and without certain limitations, and thus it's a bit more expansive and a bit more intriguing and liberating as well. Like I said, when one looks at your field that is the non-physical essence, the non-physical aspect, your core frequency, your core essence. And when you look at that, based on how it's shaped, how it's formed, how it's patterned, how it's coded, how it's, well, weirdly, but like what colors are there, if there is, then it's, and whether the shapes are rounded, more streamed, how it looks like, it tells you very much about those natural qualities that you as your soul, not even as your soul, but you as your individualized stream of consciousness hold. So basically, if your field, like the multidimensional field is very round, it tells you about more how you express yourself and how you internally process life and experience life. Because both your field, it's not, as I said in the beginning, your field is both the basis of your whole experience in this life, because your consciousness follows your field, in a sense that your consciousness looks at your the and that field is expressed in this physical form. And thus, when the consciousness goes in circles and spirals and however it is described, it basically means that your consciousness, as it desires to experience the individualized consciousness, it follows your field. And the whole experience, the perspectives, it's your field expressed outward physically. So when your consciousness kind of circulates and goes through different areas of your field, you go through different you don't go through it different. I'm gonna phrase it differently, but basically, when your consciousness circulates and becomes aware of your field, your consciousness is your field is the playing field, and your field is what determines your inner perspectives and the inner experiences and your inner awakenings in the same manner. And also the field, like I said previously, is the same thing that your field is also what you express outwardly and what others feel from you. And that is where the distortions come into place. And before I forget, you, as your consciousness expands and travels around your field, and that is what you call your inner life, it also, due to the nature of consciousness and the whole thing of expansion, it also refines itself. Refinement through iteration. You do something all over again, you get refinement. But you also get refinement as in like a sophistication, more something that has more thought put into it, more efficient, more sophisticated. And at the same time, at the same time, the same process also opens up new areas in your field, and thus new areas open in your field means new areas open in your perception, new areas open in your consciousness to explore, means more skills available, means more knowledge available, means more wisdom available, means more deeper inner experiences available, more more higher knowledge available and such, because it's the same process, because you refine your field. If you've ever done like meditation where you like go through your field and you realize that you've started off like you seeing yourself as least like something like, I don't know, like with a ring around yourself, and then with the years of meditation you start to see more integrated, more refined things added to your field. It's the same thing, because it's layers opened, and once the layers are opened, it means that your inner experiences and your inner perspective have been opened the same way. I didn't want to forget that. Okay, then let's go to the fun part. Obviously, internal life is hugely invigorating, but distortions. So distortions are the things in your field that come in between you and you expressing your true, real, energetic, individualized stream of consciousness of you. And basically, usually distortions are referred, as, or handling them is kind of like referred to as doing shadow work. Distortions is every belief that you've taken on that is not in aligned with, the truth of our being. It's any societal structure or culture or structure that you're buying into that is not based on, the inner truth. It's like everything that is that is basically inauthentic to you, to the truth of you. And thus those distortions kind of affect your life experiences, because they skew your perception and they affect the choices you make because you believe in them. And they are the thing that show up in how you relate to others and how you relate to life. So it's distortions in your field are very much a physical thing, and they actually have like physical substance in them, thus, because your field can be as refined as fuck, and you can have the most beautiful, gorgeous, like inner experiences, access to higher knowledge, access to your very clear, divinity. But if you have distortions in your field and you haven't done your due diligence on them, there's gonna be this disconnect between your actual physical life and your actual physical experiences and what is going on physically, and then your internal state and your internal experience. And that is because those are kind of like those are handled on different layers of your field, and they're both valid and they both matter in that sense. It's like you can have the non-physical aspects and layers in your field, and then you have the more physical aspects. And usually I would say that people want to tend both of them, because you cannot do what you're put here to do if you don't tend those distortions, because you kind of like take away the biggest asset you have. And it's kind of like with distortions in your field, it's your desires, what you desire to create, are skewed in that sense as well. That one needs to be like very aware of where are those desires and everything like coming from, what's the actual motive behind it. And when you have the lesser distortions you have, the more work you have done internally, the less there is resistance and the less there is discord between what your true essence, your individualized stream of consciousness, desires and is able to express and wants to express and gets to be expressed, and then what you're actually creating. Okay, the fun part, so that the distortions, they both affect how you show up, how your energy is coming forward, and how much or to what degree you embody your true essence. And it also reflects how your physical life looks like, because those distortions influence the choices you make. And those choices that you make have an effect in your life. But the fun part is, this is the fun part, that even though they are distortions, they still hold kind of like the keys to your energy and to the core frequency of you, because they're still expression of you there, even though it's skewed a bit, because the lens is a bit crooked in that sense. It still kind of like holds, the keys to what your, the core frequency underneath of it is, because still we are, the individualized source consciousness, and the individualization is the thing through which your energy, through which your field gets expressed, and it doesn't like go away. But the distortions work as kind of like a reflectors, or those funky mirrors. They kind of like skew the expression, but still like an expression of you. I usually refer it to as like musical instruments. The musical instruments can be in tune or they can be out of tune, and you still play. But if you want to play in a way that expresses that energy you have in you in a way that, in a good way, you make sure that your instrument is in tune. And in this thing, this means that you make sure that any distortions get rebalanced. Any distortions get handled in that sense. And that is what energy work does. And transformational coaching does, or consulting does. It helps you to look at those patterns of distortions, and then help you to switch those up. Because every distortions, you can you can trace them back to their origin. And once you find the origin, you can find the more corresponding way, more of a correspond to them. It's like when you tune an instrument. You can get that instrument to vibrate on that certain level by introducing it the right frequency to it, and thus you can get that distortion. Once you know what it is, there's an antidote to it, and you can flip it and get it more harmonized, and you can get more access your true, like the core more, and it's fun. Yes, that was like a lot to be packed in this video. Get into my email list. I'm not sure if you find this website or if you know me from my social media. I always prefer having my own platform, just for the obvious reasons, and thus the easiest way to stay in tune is to be on the email list. So here's my invitation for you. You can find the link below. Brilliant. See you on the next video.